I'd like to read the general rules for public input for tonight. There is public input on the agenda. We ask that input be provided only during this time. Anyone providing public input during this time has a 3-minute time limit to do so. Any requests or comments that require follow-up can be noted and taken into consideration by the Board of Directors to be addressed at a later time. If a speaker would like to present written comments or copies of material, a copy should be provided to the board liaison as the speaker gives her public input. Due to client confidentiality, the Board of Directors should not engage in discussion of any specific case or identifying any clients. Leading discussions should not be held and promises should not be made to anyone about the public input until all of the information is made available to the board. And just to notice to everyone in the room to be aware that these public meetings are now being recorded. Thank you. I'd like to call Mr. Argula for.
Good evening again, Board. I thank you for your endurance. It is, again, necessary for me to consume 3 minutes of your time to update you on the status of my son's case. I provided you with written comments of what I will say in a few moments. They are available for public review on my website, www.sgprc.net. And I ask that the URL for my blog be included with these minutes. We are now in our 40th month of services provided by your agency after termination of family provided services. I've attached a spreadsheet. Please note that the cost for you providing your services with your vendor has now exceeded $225,000 more than what family provided services would have cost your agency. And even that number, may I repeat, $225,000 wasted dollars over the past 40 months. I believe that's an underestimate because I believe Mr. Penman has used certain techniques to keep certain expenditures out of the POS report, such things as motel expenses and apartment rentals. I hope to get better figures for you in the ensuing months. For your information, I am still being blocked from entering my son's apartment as recently as last Saturday. Your vendor, Q Enterprises, called the police when I walked onto the apartment property. There is a YouTube video available on my blog. And I want to encourage your agency and your vendor to please call the police whenever I attempt to visit my son. Because the police show up, they write reports, and this situation becomes wider known. Police show up, they ask, oh, is there a court order? Is there a restraining order? Oh no, the regional center told us not to let him come in. And then the police roll their eyes and leave. A reminder, you are continuing to block my son's IHSS workers from entering Kevin's apartment and working with Kevin. This is illegal. The effect of restricting IHS workers is painfully apparent. You've terminated Mr. Rosas' services. You've prevented him from working with my son, providing his meals. Mr. Rosas is a trained nutritionist, a Cal Poly Pomona valedictorian. My son has gained over 50 pounds since you terminated his services. But you know, there is something, Board, that you may not understand. Mr. Rosas and the other IHS workers continue to go to my son's apartment every day. They are blocked by your vendor staff. They walk back outside and they sit in the car for their work shift. So they're continuing to be paid by Los Angeles County IHSS. What you need to do is terminate IHSS services. But Mr. Penman, I believe, won't do that. Because Mr. Penman won't invoke a process that he can't control. Mr. Penman is very good at controlling DDS fair hearings using his attorney, Judith Enright. But Mr. Penman doesn't have control over Los Angeles County due process. So I do want to challenge Mr. Penman, please, if you don't want my son's IHSS workers working with my son, which is required under the Lanterman Act, 221 hours. If you don't want them, contact Los Angeles County, have them formally terminated instead of sitting in their car 8 hours a day. Finally, I ask the board to consider the legal actions undertaken by your administration in opposing my petition for conservatorship for Kevin and the impact that this may have on Kevin's life. Once again, you're doing the same thing that you've done in the past, providing false information to courts. Not my opinion. That's what you did in the case of St. Charles, as documented by Judge Robert Walker. And now you're doing it again. So, more drama to come in the ensuing months. So thank you so much for your attention. I appreciate it.
I'd like to go on record again that I do not approve any of my videotaped images on any publicly available blog or any type of media, social or their otherwise. Thank you.
We asked the board liaison to provide us with your name, and she failed to do that. So if you would state your name clearly, we will do what we can to have your
My
face.
name is right here, so.
I can't see it.
My name is Giselle Ragusa.
Thank you. I'll make sure that if your face is visible, that we have it blurred.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we also have Sheila that she'd like to give public input. Sheila, James?
Hi. Hi, everyone. So I want to share a little bit what's happened this past week. Saturday morning in the early hours, Quinn went out to his car and his wheelchair-modified van, and it was stolen from his carport. And someone entered the house in the wee hours without forced entry, stole the keys off of his stand by the front door, and drove off with his van. So the police were on it. Social media really took off. I posted on Facebook, and then it just went crazy, crazy. And today, this is only Wednesday, this was Saturday, it feels like it's been a year. Quinn's van was found unscathed in Ontario on a residential street. So I picked it up from the impound, all that. We were ecstatic about that. And then in the afternoon, we got a knock on the door. And you know those happy Honda people that come to people's houses?
Yeah.
They came to our house. And they are gifting Quinn a 2018 brand new van. And they're going to fully modify it. And so, I kind of was like, Quinn's van was found. And they said, yes, we know. We found out. We still want to give Quinn this van. And how would you feel if we, with you, donated Quinn's old van to a family that came forward because of all of this press? And so we're going to be doing that too. So, it's just the ripples are just going out into the world. And Quinn feels fantastic because he gets to do a big act of service in terms of donating this van of his. And I'm happy to say people on Facebook, their faith is being restored. There was so much public support for the plight of Quinn, and we got to bring to attention, we were talking about transportation, right? We had access here, so we got to bring to attention the importance of accessible transportation for people with mobility issues. And now everyone is just crying tears of joy. I've been crying all day, so I know I've kind of crashed. But I wanted to share, a good word, so thanks.
That's all we have. Thank you.
I'm excited about telling good that I'm glad he got the van. And one of these days, I might need a van.
One of the things that's happening as a result of this is Quinn and I are just, Quinn brought it up, Mom, maybe I need to start a foundation for transportation because there's so many people that need to be able to get around with more freedom. So something might be happening.
I have a question. When you found this old van, did they pick up like fingerprints and flew through the van and stole it?
Well, they did brush for fingerprints, and then they're going to be checking all the people who had access to Quinns key, and if anything foreign comes up, they'll put it in the database. We'll see. It's not, the investigation isn't complete yet.